The Senate is holding its final confirmation vote tonight for Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett. If confirmed as expected, Barrett will become President Trump's third Supreme Court appointment in just 4 years, more than any president had in their entire tenure since Ronald Reagan. Democratic Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia joins me now. Senator, thanks very much for joining us on Red and Blue. You were one of the few from your party to even meet with Judge Barrett. In an op-ed, you wrote that precedent demands her nomination wait until after the election. Now, you supported President Trump's first two justices. Is your concern only about the timing of the confirmation, or are you concerned about what Barrett might do on the bench?
Well, Elaine, both, to be honest with you. But, I voted for Judge Barrett on the 17th Circuit when she came up for the 17th Circuit for Indiana. But the vetting process usually there's a much deeper, intense background check, and everything on all the writings. She's not been on the bench that long. She's not had much experience on the bench, nor has she been a practicing attorney. So all we have is her extensive teaching, which she's been, a stellar performer there. But then a lot of her opinions have been written in the form of an education. I asked the questions particularly to her when I did meet with her. I was the first, and they reached out and I said, absolutely. And we had a very good conversation for about an hour. And we talked about all the different things that I possibly could think that would be concerned that all of us should have. But she was unable to talk in specific. And before we even got started, her attorney basically said that she wouldn't be able to talk in specific or answer questions for anything that might come before the court. Well, the Supreme Court is the last chance for justice. So anything and everything is going to come before them sooner or later, or possibly. And so there was very little answers we could receive. But I was wondering why she opined on Judge John Roberts' ruling when he ruled and made the final decision that the Affordable Care Act, met the constitutional requirements. And I asked her about that and talked about severability. We talked about many things. I do have great concern about where she might come down as far as the Affordable Care Act, because, like I say, the Supreme Court's the last chance for justice. In my state of West Virginia, over 800,000 people have a pre-existing condition. They weren't able to get insurance before, or afford it, or even be offered it. Now they have it for the first time. I have 160,000 people that never ever had insurance. Being a former governor, I know the hardships people go through and how much this means to them. To get treatment for addictions, to get treatment for mental illness for the first time. All of these things that are so important that we need to change and hopefully improve people's lives. So I have concern about that, and she was very upfront about being an originalist, because I asked very, very directly, do you believe that the Constitution is a living, breathing document? Or as an originalist, does it mean that it's the Word and the Word doesn't change? Even knowing when it was written 235, 40 years ago versus today's life, we've changed all along. The women's suffrage, equal rights, the Voting Rights Act, all the different things that have been changed had to be changed because of a maturing, growing, and now a superpower nation. So there's some concerns. But in all honesty, this is wrong for us to rush this through, Elaine. We don't have a judicial crisis. We have 8 jurists right now, 8 judges. 5 are conservative. 3 are progressives. So it's a 5-3 court as we speak. And I don't know what the rush would be. This has basically knocked everything out. The COVID relief negotiations, we have an energy bill that could go immediately. Everything's gone to the back burner.
So I want to get to some of those other issues, but in that opinion piece in the Herald Dispatch, you wrote, Mitch McConnell and Senate Republicans have chosen a dangerous partisan path to push through Barrett's confirmation. Now, you've recently said you don't support expanding the Supreme Court if Democrats win back the White House and the Senate. I want to go ahead and play a clip from Maine Senator Angus King, an independent who caucuses with the Democrats on the Senate floor last night. Let's listen to that.
I don't want to pack the court. I don't want to change the number. I don't want to have to do that. But if all of this rule breaking is taking place, what does the majority expect? What do they expect? They expect that they're going to be able to break the rules with impunity, and when the shoe maybe is on the other foot, nothing's going to happen? The people over here are going to just say, oh, well, we can't change these rules.
So, Senator, given the reservations that you just expressed a moment ago on multiple issues, including health care, explain to us your position about not being in favor of expanding the Supreme Court.
First of all, it's who the Senate is. It's who we are. If there is anybody that knows the Senate, it's Joe Biden. So I believe in my heart of hearts there won't be anybody that will work harder to make the Senate work as the founding fathers intended it to work, as basically the most deliberate body, and with basically the minority having input with the majority. And that's why we had the 60 rule cloture vote. That's why we had the filibuster, so that it would bring us together, common sense, commonalities, eventually. But we become so tribal. Can we come back? I don't know. I hope so, Elaine. I really hope so. And I believe that basically when Joe Biden says when he becomes president, he's going to put a bipartisan commission to look at the judicial system. That doesn't mean you're going to pack it and throw more people. He was the first to say, tit for tat. You know, in 2017, the reason we're having a 51 vote threshold is because, it's truly because, Elaine, that Mitch McConnell changed the rules for the Supreme Court nominee to a 51 vote threshold. Now, in all honesty, 2013, Harry Reid changed the rule to get appointments made with a 51. So he can say, well, the Democrats did it first. Harry Reid started it, but he didn't do for lifetime appointment for the highest court in the land. But Mitch did it immediately in 2017. So it's going to go back and forth. Don't you think that maybe we ought to try to put some types of rules or regulations or stop gaps that prevents us from continuing to always break our own rules? It should be looked into.
Yeah. Before we let you go, Senator, I want to ask you about the pandemic. This weekend, West Virginia saw record high numbers of COVID-19 hospitalizations and people in intensive care with the virus. It's been more than 7 months since the pandemic reached the U.S. How do you think the Trump administration has responded, and what would you like to see done?
Well, you know, no different than a family member. The head of the family always basically sets the demeanor of that family. And with the president basically taking this as nonchalant, you know, he could have basically had us more prepared. Why we never, and why the president, when he knew the severity of this, way back in, January, maybe early February, and saying I didn't want to alarm anybody. I wanted to keep it down low. I didn't want people to be alarmed. That's the same as me saying, hey, honey, take out the batteries in the fire alarm because I don't want to wake the children up. I don't want to get them all excited or scared. I mean, none of this makes sense to me. It really doesn't. And then the Defense Production Act, when we knew that a pandemic was coming, don't you prepare yourself to prevent the worst that could happen to all the people you're responsible for? When I was governor, that's all I ever thought about. What could I do to make sure the people in West Virginia don't have any undue hardship on them? It's tough enough the way things are, but I needed to protect them. So I wanted to make sure we were doing everything we could. So yes, West Virginia has spiked. We started out first, we had a governor in West Virginia saying, oh, if you want to go to Bob Evans, go. He's a big Trump supporter. I understand that and respect that. Don't agree with him, but basically, go. It's not bad. And then we have a color map. You had the Harvard map come out, and our governor put a map out also. But it's been a kaleidoscope. He changes it because people want to play ball. They want to do this. They want to do that. And we sent money to the states in order for them to protect themselves. Now we've seen more spikes in October. We had one day, October the 16th, we had 498, almost 500 positive cases in my little beautiful state of West Virginia. It's uncalled for, Elaine, totally uncalled for, because they weren't prepared. And the Trump administration, President Trump himself, did not take this serious, has not taken it serious, and still doesn't take it serious, thinking it will pass. This too shall pass. everything will pass, but how many people have to suffer and how many lives do we have to lose until it passes?
Senator, I have one more for you. During the debate, we heard Joe Biden talk about being committed to transitioning away from fossil fuels. West Virginia, as we know, is coal country. What did you hear? What did you make of that response?
Well, first of all, I know the Biden plan. We've worked and talked about that. And it's basically a plan that transition is going to happen. Transition means, Elaine, that people's buying habits, they want something different. They change differently. But the bottom line is you have to have an all-in energy policy. You can't just eliminate, like some people said, eliminate all fossil, eliminate coal and oil and natural gas and all fossils. That won't be done, and the rest of the world won't do it either. We can use it better and cleaner. We've been cleaning up the air for the last 2 decades more than ever before. And we need to have carbon capture, sequestration, utilization. And Joe Biden has that in his plan. That's the one thing that we can do to clean up the environment more than anything else. And it's what we're working towards. So when I heard that, I knew he made a big mistake, the way that came out and saying it like he's going to eliminate something. You're not going to eliminate. The markets change. And when President Trump says, don't you worry, when I become president, we're going to put all those coal mining jobs back. We're going to make all the coal miners go back to work. We've lost more coal mining jobs since he's been president than before he was president, because the markets have changed. His intent might have been that, and the markets will change again as we develop.
So,
more
Senator, do you think that comment could hurt Joe Biden in places like West Virginia and in Pennsylvania?
Well, definitely, to give people that basically were opposed to Joe Biden and trying to convince other people reasons to say something that's not true. Look at the Biden plan. Look at the energy plan. It's through innovation. It's through technology. We need to have carbon capture, sequestration, utilization. We need to capture the methane that comes from basically the fracking. My state, we do an awful lot of fracking, and we do it very safely. We have solid formation as far as piping down into the formation. We make sure we capture our methane, and that can be done. We have the technology to do this. That's what he's speaking about. There'll be new different types of energy sources in the future, Elaine, but it's not there yet. The only thing that's reliable 24/7, rain or shine, today is coal and nuclear, because the fuel's laying there. As natural gas is replacing a lot of coal because it's much cheaper, but still it is not what we would call 24/7 reliability. Pipelines can break, and you would have a disruption of the fuel going to the plant, and all those types of things we have to be concerned about. But until there's storage, there might be fusion, there might be so many different things in the future that we're looking towards and trying to develop to have a clean environment. But I want you to remember this, Elaine. This is called global climate. It's not North America climate. It's not just United States climate. It's global climate. We've got to bring the rest of the world with us. There's more fossil being used in the world today than ever before. And we better use the trading policy, the strength of our markets and trading policy to make sure that India and other countries that are developing are using the technologies that we're basically innovating. And I'm hoping that West Virginia will be a leader in producing and manufacturing all this new technology that will come on with the Biden plan.
All right. West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin. Senator, thanks very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Elaine. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.